Hello, everyone. I'm Niecee, and I want to thank you for taking the time today to join me in exploring thought matters. I created this channel to share content and discuss various subject matters in hopes that it will provoke thoughts, feelings, and emotions that will help those who are drawn to evolve to a higher level of consciousness in their lives. I do want to state, though, that any views and or opinions expressed are those of my own personal perspective and that of those who share their thoughts and feelings on this channel. Neither myself nor others on this channel are in any way attempting to make statements of fact on any topic. Again, views expressed are strictly perspective of those who are participating. If you find you are enjoying what is shared, would you be so kind as to like, subscribe, and share the content? I would love to have you and others as part of my virtual family. To start things off, I will be reading the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself: How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. This book is by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm so excited to share this book with you. He is a renowned author, speaker, researcher, and chiropractor. Dr. Joe combines the fields of quantum physics, neuroscience, brain chemistry, biology, and genetics to show us what is truly possible in our lives if we make an effort. Not only will Dr. Joe give us the necessary knowledge to change any aspect of ourselves, he will also provide us with the step-by-step tools to apply what we learn in order to make these changes in any area of our lives. What I appreciate most is that Dr. Joe demystifies ancient understandings and bridges gaps between science and spirituality. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And again, thank you, and I appreciate you taking the time today to join me on Thoughts Do Matter. So I believe I will just go ahead and start by reading the foreword. I love my little bookmark, don't you guys? I love butterflies evolving. It's what I'm always attempting to do in my life. This foreword is written by Dr. Daniel G. Amen. So on the foreword, your brain is involved in everything you do, including how you think, how you feel, how you act, and how well you get along with other people. It's the organ of personality, character, intelligence, and every decision you make. From my brain imaging work with tens of thousands of patients worldwide over the past 20 years, it is very clear to me that when your brain works right, you work right. And when your brain is troubled, you are much more likely to have trouble in your life. With a healthier brain, you are happier, physically healthier, wealthier, wiser, and just make better decisions, which helps you be more successful and live longer. Love the idea of that. When the brain is not healthy for whatever reason, such as a head injury or past emotional trauma, people are sadder, sicker, poorer, less wise, and less successful. It is easy to understand how trauma can hurt the brain, but researchers have also seen how negative thinking and bad programming from our past can also affect it. For example, I grew up with an older brother who was intent on shoving me around. The constant tension and fear I felt then led to a higher level of anxiety, anxious thinking patterns, and always being on guard, never knowing when something bad was about to happen. This fear caused long-term overactivity in my brain's fear centers until I was able to work through it later in life. In Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, my colleague, Dr. Joe Dispenza, is your guide to optimize both hardware and software of your brain to help you reach a new state of mind. His new book is based on solid science, and he continues to speak with kindness and wisdom as he did in the award-winning film, What the Bleep Do We Know? I like that. And in his first book, Evolve Your Brain. As if you haven't read that one, you should probably check that out. We may explore that later on this channel. I think that would be very good as well. Even though I think of the brain like a computer with both hardware and software, the hardware, the actual physical functioning of the brain, is not separate from the software or the constant programming and reshaping that occurs throughout our lives. They have a dramatic impact on each other. Most of us have had trauma of some kind in our lives and live with the day-to-day scars that have resulted. Cleaning out those experiences that have become part of the brain structure can be incredibly healing. Of course, engaging in brain healthy habits such as a proper diet and exercise with certain brain nutrients is critical to the brain working right. But in addition, your moment by moment thoughts exert a powerful healing effect on the brain, or they can work to your detriment. The same is true for past experiences that can become wired in the brain. The study we do at the Amen Clinic is called brain SPECT imaging. SPECT is for single photon emission computed tomography. It's a nuclear medicine study that looks at blood flow and activity patterns. It is different from CT scans or MRIs, which examines the brain's anatomy, because SPECT looks at how the brain functions. Our SPECT work, now over 70,000 scans, has taught us so many important life lessons about the brain, such as brain injuries can ruin lives. Alcohol is not a health food and often shows significant damage on the SPECT scans. A number of medications people routinely take, such as common anti-anxiety medications, are not good for the brain. And diseases like Alzheimer's actually start in the brain decades before people have any symptoms. Wow. But your doctor always prescribes anti-anxiety medication. If it's not good for the brain, I guess they're only concentrating on the emotions, to me. Interesting. Just my perspective again. SPECT scans have also taught us that as a society, we need to have much more love and respect for the brain, and that allowing children to play contact sports like football and hockey is not a smart idea. Oh boy. I know we might step on the toes of a few sports fans out there, but I'm just reading the book. One of the most exciting lessons I have learned is that people can literally change their brains and change their lives by engaging in regular brain healthy activities, such as correcting negative beliefs and using meditative processes such as those discussed by Dr. Dispenza. In one series of studies we published, the practice of meditation, such as what Dr. Dispenza recommends, boosted blood flow to the prefrontal cortex, the most thoughtful part of the human brain. And after 8 weeks of daily meditation, the prefrontal cortex at rest was stronger, and the memories of our subjects were better, too. There are also many ways to heal and optimize the brain. My hope is that, like me, you will develop brain envy and want a better functioning brain. The brain imaging work we do has changed everything in my own life. Shortly after I started ordering SPECT scans in 1991, I decided to look at my own brain. I was 37 years old. When I saw the toxic, bumpy appearance, I knew it was not healthy. All of my life, I have been someone who rarely drank alcohol, never smoked, and never used an illegal drug. Then why did my brain look so bad? Before I really understood about brain health, I had many bad brain habits. I ate lots of fast food, drank diet soda like she was my best friend, often slept only 4 hours to 5 hours at night, and carried unexamined hurts from my past. I didn't exercise, felt chronically stressed, and carried an extra 30 pounds. What I didn't know was hurting me, and not just a little. My last scan looked healthier and much younger than it did 20 years earlier. My brain is literally aged backwards. Interesting. That's how changeable your brain is, too. when you make up your mind to take care of it properly. After seeing my original scan, I wanted my brain to be better. This book will help yours be better too. I hope you enjoy reading it as much as I did. Dr. Daniel G. Amen, MD, author of Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. All right, it sounds very interesting. The introduction. The greatest habit you can ever break is the habit of being yourself. When I think about all the books on creating the life we desire, I realize that many of us are still looking for approaches that are grounded in sound scientific evidence, methods that truly work. But already new research into the brain and body and mind and consciousness and a quantum leap in our understanding of physics is suggesting expanded possibilities on how to move towards what we innately know is our real potential. As a practicing chiropractor who runs a busy integrated health clinic, and as an educator in the fields of neuroscience, brain function, biology, and brain chemistry, I have been privileged to be at the forefront of some of this research, not just by studying the fields mentioned above, but also by observing the effects of this new science, once applied by common people like you and me. That's the moment when the possibilities of this new science became a reality. As a consequence, I have witnessed some remarkable changes in individuals' health and quality of life when they truly change their minds. Over the last several years, I have had the opportunity to interview a host of people who have overcome significant health conditions that were considered either terminal or permanent. Per the contemporary model of medicine, these recoveries were labeled spontaneous remissions. Interesting. However, upon my extensive examination of their inner journeys, it became apparent to me that there was a strong element of mind involved, and their physical changes weren't so spontaneous after all. This discovery furthered my postgraduate studies in brain imaging, neuroplasticity, epigenetics, and psychoneuroimmunology. I simply figured that something had to be happening in the brain and body that could be zeroed in on and then replicated. In this book, I want to share some of what I learned along the way and show you by exploring how mind and matter are interrelated. How you can apply these principles not only to your body, but to any aspect of your life. And this, what I'm reading, kind of takes me back to when I was hospitalized with H1N1. And they told me that it did not occur from a flu shot that I had just gotten that day when I broke out in this really, really bad red rash all up and down my legs, and they were swollen and hurting. I never did get any type of cough or cold or anything like that. But the fact that my legs were hurting so bad and I broke out in this mysterious rash, I went ahead and went to the hospital, and they hospitalized me. I was there for like a week, and my organs were shutting down and all types of things. Well, my liver and gallbladder were shutting down, and they were running all these tests, and they didn't want to tell me what was the matter with me until they finally told my mom and my sister that I had H1N1. And I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, when they were taking me out for test results and things like that, they had me riding down in the elevator. I was covered from head to toe, had the mask all the way up to here, covers, blankets, gowns, hoodies, everything was all covered up. Anytime I was being transported, I looked like a mummy. They had crossbones on my door and things like that. And when they told me my organs were shutting down, I was like, the lies you tell, I bet you they won't. And I made up my mind that I was going to get better, and I was getting up out of that hospital. I was so frustrated. And I'll tell you what, I did get better. And I got out of there and I've been healthy ever since, but just haven't been willing to take a flu shot. No, sorry. Oh, back to our reading. So, go beyond knowing to knowing how. Sounds interesting. Many readers of my first book, Evolve Your Brain, The Science of Changing Your Mind, voiced the same honest and heartfelt requests, along with a fair amount of positive feedback, such as the person who wrote, I really liked your book. I read it twice. It had lots of science and was very thorough and inspiring. But can you tell me how to do it? How do I evolve my brain? In response, I began teaching a workshop series on the practical steps anyone can take to make changes at every level of mind and body that will lead to lasting results. Consequently, I have seen people experience unexplainable healings, release old mental and emotional wounds, resolve so-called impossible difficulties, create new opportunities, and experience wonderful wealth, just to name a few. You will meet some of those people in these pages. It's not necessary that you read my first book to digest the material in this one. Well, that's good because we haven't read the first one yet. But we may visit that a little later on, as I said before. But if you have been exposed to my work, I wrote Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself to serve as a practical how-to companion to evolve your brain. It is my earnest objective to make this new book simple and easy to understand. There will be times, though, that I will have to give you bits of knowledge to act as a forerunner to the concept I want to develop. The purpose is to build a realistic working model of the personal transformation that will help you understand how we can change. Breaking the habit of being yourself is a product of one of my passions, a sincere effort to demystify the mystical so that every person understands that we have within our reach all we need to make significant changes in our lives. This is a time in history when not only do we want to know, but we want to know how. How do we apply and personalize both emerging scientific concepts and age-old wisdom to succeed at living a more enriched life? When you and I can connect the dots of what science is discovering about the nature of reality, and when we give ourselves permission to apply those principles in our day-to-day existence, then each of us becomes both a mystic and a scientist in our own life. So, I invite you to experiment with everything that you learn in this book and to objectively observe the results. What I mean is that if you make the effort to change your inner world of thoughts and feelings, your external environment should begin to give you feedback to show you that your mind has had an effect on your outer world. Why else would you do it? If you take intellectual information that you learn as a philosophy and then initiate the knowledge into your life by applying it enough times until you master it, you will ultimately move from being a philosopher to an initiate to a master. Stay tuned. There is sound scientific evidence that this is possible. I do ask you up front to keep an open mind so that we can build step by step the concepts I outline in this book. All of this information is for you to do something with. Otherwise, it's just good dinner conversation, isn't it? Once you can open your mind to the way things really are and let go of your conditioned beliefs with which you are accustomed to framing your reality, you should see the fruits of your efforts. That is my wish for you. The information in these pages is there to inspire you to prove to yourself that you are a divine creator. You should never wait for science to give us permission to do the uncommon. If we do, then we are turning science into another religion. We should be brave enough to contemplate our lives, do what we thought was outside the box, and do it repeatedly. When we do that, we are on our way to a greater level of personal power. I'll tell you, as I'm reading through this, I'd say that it is my plan to, use this book as a experiment to share with you guys. I plan to implement the tools that I learned in this book, and I hope that you guys continue to take this journey with me. And I will be sharing my experiences or any things that I see that begin to occur in my life by me applying the tools and changing my thought patterns in the ways that Dr. Joe suggests. I believe in this, and I can kind of tell when I think about things, and sometimes something manifests in my life and I'll be like, oh man, I was just thinking about that and now here it is. I think this is kind of along the same lines of that. So I can't wait to see where this takes us, and I think it's going to be an awesome journey. But let me keep on reading. True empowerment comes when we start to look deeply at our beliefs. We may find their roots in the conditioning of religion, culture, society, education, family, the media, and even our genes, the latter being imprinted by sensory experiences of our current lives as well as untold generations. Then we weigh those old ideas against some new paradigms that may serve us better. Times are changing. Mhm. As individuals awaken to a greater reality, we are part of a much larger sea of change. Our current systems and models of reality are breaking down. That is certainly so. And it's time for something new to emerge. Across the board, our models for politics, economics, religion, science, education, medicine, and our relationship with the environment are all showing a different landscape than just 10 years ago. Letting go of the outmoded and embracing the new sounds easy. But as I pointed out in Evolve Your Brain, much of what we have learned and experienced has been incorporated into our biological self, and we wear it like a garment. But we also know that what is true today might not be true tomorrow. Just as we have come to question our perception of atoms as a solid piece of matter, reality and our interaction with it is a progression of ideas and beliefs. We also know that to leave the familiar life that we have grown accustomed to and walk into something new is like a salmon swimming upstream. It takes effort. And frankly, it's uncomfortable. Sure enough. And to top it off, ridicule, marginalization, opposition, and denigration from those who cling to what they think they know greet us along the way. Who, with such an unconventional bent, is willing to meet such adversity in the name of some concept they cannot embrace with their senses, yet which is alive in their mind? How many times in history have individuals who are considered heretics and fools and thus took the abuse of the unexceptional emerged as geniuses, saints, and masters? Will you dare to be an original? I dare to be an original. Change as a choice instead of a reaction. It seems that human nature is such that we balk at changing until things get really bad. And we're so uncomfortable that we can no longer go on with business as usual. We broke down by a very last compound. I know it. I've been there. This is as true for an individual as it is for society. We wait for crises, trauma, loss, disease, and tragedy before we get down to looking at who we are, what we are doing, how we are living, what we are feeling, and what we believe or know in order to embrace true change. Often it takes a worst case scenario for us to begin making changes that support our health, relationships, career, family, and future. My message is, why wait? Wow, I must take a pause on that one. It just brings me to a moment that I always think about back. I will share with you guys at Not too long ago, I can believe that was August the 17th, I celebrated 8 years of sobriety. I used to be an alcoholic. I know a lot of people say that they once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic, but I don't agree with that philosophy for my personal self because I do not like to look back. I like to look forward. And so, I don't even look at myself as a recovering alcoholic. I could say I used to be an alcoholic, but back then, my mom used to warn me all the time when I was running around acting like a crazy fool, like, Lord, the angels watched over me. The universe, the spirits, divine angels wrapped their little arms around me and protected me in so many ways. But my mom used to always say she just didn't want to see me hit rock bottom. Well, guess what? I hit rock bottom before I changed. I mean, I had tore my life to pieces. So I definitely get what it's talking about in this book. It's like when you have to go through so much and keep going on down this mad road before you're willing to make some changes in your life. And I'd have to say, even now that my life is looking totally different now than it was back when I was drinking. And I'm so thankful that I made it over that hurdle and decided to make that change. So if there's another level that I could evolve to, I am all for it because I see what change can do in one person's life. But with that being said, let me go back and read a little bit more. A little more water. This light can get a little hot. Am I shining? It's okay. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me through this. I won't read too much today. I think I'll finish out the introduction and then we'll take a pause and come back. But let me at least finish this part out. So where was I? Okay. So we can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, or we can evolve in a state of joy and inspiration. Most embrace the former. To go with the latter, we just have to make up our minds that change will probably entail a bit of discomfort, some inconvenience, a break from a predictable routine, and a period of not knowing. Most of us are already familiar with the temporary discomfort of not knowing. We stumbled through our early efforts to read until this skill became a second nature. When we first practiced the violin or the drums, our parents wished they could send us to a soundproof room. Pity the hapless patient who has his blood drawn by a medical student who has requisite knowledge but still lacks the finesse that he or she will only gain through practice. Absorbing knowledge, knowing, and then gaining practical experience by applying what you learned until a particular skill became ingrained in you, knowing how is probably how you acquire most of the abilities that now feel like part of your being, knowing this. In much the same way, learning how to change your life involves knowledge and the application of knowledge. That is why this book is divided into 3 overarching sections. Throughout parts 1 and 2, I will build ideas in sequence, forming a bigger and broader model of understanding for you to personalize. And some ideas seem repetitive. They are there to remind you about something that I don't want you to forget. Repetition reinforces the circuits in your brain and forms more neural connections so that in your weakest hour, you don't talk yourself out of greatness. When you ease into part 3 of this book without a sound knowledge base, you can experience for yourself the truth of what you learned earlier. Part 1, the science of you. Our exploration will start with an overview of philosophical and scientific paradigms related to the latest research about the nature of reality, who you are, why change has been so difficult for so many, and what is possible for you as a human being. Part 1 will be an easy read, I promise. Chapter 1, The Quantum You, introduces you to a bit of quantum physics. But don't be alarmed. I start there because it is important that you begin to embrace the concept that your subjective mind has an effect on your objective world. The observer effect in quantum physics states that where you direct your attention is where you place your energy. As a consequence, you affect the material world, which, by the way, is made mostly of energy. If you entertain that idea even for a moment, you might start focusing on what you want instead of what you don't want. And you might even find yourself thinking, if I am an atom, 99.9999% energy and 0.00001% physical substance, then I'm actually more nothing than something. So why do I keep my attention on that small percentage of the physical world when I am so much more? That is a darn good question. Is defining my present reality by what I perceive with my senses the biggest limitation I have? Thought-provoking. In chapter 2 through 4, we will look at what it means to change, to become greater than the environment, the body, and time. You've probably entertained the idea that your thoughts create your life. But in chapter 2, Overcoming Your Environment, I discuss how, if you allow the outer world to control how you think and feel, your external environment is patterning circuits in your brain to make you think equal to everything familiar to you. The result is that you create more of the same. You hardwire your brain to reflect the problems, personal conditions, and circumstances in your life. So to change, you must be greater than all the things physical in your life. You must be greater than all the things physical in your life. Have to let that one resonate for a minute. Chapter 3, Overcoming Your Body, continues to look at how we unconsciously live by a set of memorized behaviors, thoughts, and emotions, reactions, all running like a computer program behind the scenes of our subconscious awareness. That's why it is not enough to think positive, because most of who we are might reside subconsciously as negativity in the body. By the end of the book, you will know how to enter into the operating system of the subconscious mind and make permanent changes where those programs exist. Chapter 4, Overcoming Time, examines how we either live in anticipation of future events or repeatedly revisit past memories, or both, until the body begins to believe it is living in a time other than the present moment. The latest research supports the notion that we have a natural ability to change that brain and body by thought alone, so that it looks biologically like some future event has already happened. Because you can make thoughts more real than anything else, you can change who you are from brain cell to gene, given the right understanding. When you learn how to use your attention and access the present, you will enter through the door to the quantum field where all potential exists. Chapter 5, Survival versus Creation, illustrates the distinction between living in survival and living in creation. Living in survival entails living in stress and functioning as a materialist, believing that the outer world is more real than the inner world. When you are under the gun of the fight or flight nervous system, being run by its cocktail of intoxicating chemicals, you are programmed to be concerned about your body, the things or people in your environment, and your obsession with time. Your brain and body are out of balance. You are living a predictable life. However, when you are truly in the elegant state of creation, you are nobody, no thing, no time. You forget about yourself. You become pure consciousness, free from the chains of the identity that needs the outer reality to remember who it thinks it is. Part 2, your brain and meditation. In chapter 6, the 3 brains, thinking, to doing, to being, you will embrace the concept that you have 3 brains that allows you to move from thinking to doing to being. Even better, when you focus your attention to the exclusion of your environment, your body and time can easily move from thinking to being without having to do anything. In that state of mind, your brain does not distinguish between what is happening in the outer world of reality and what is happening in the inner world of your mind. Thus, if you can mentally rehearse a desired experience via thought alone, you will experience the emotions of that event before it has physically manifested. Now you are moving into a new state of being because your mind and body are working as one. When you begin to feel like some potential future reality is happening to you in the moment that you are focusing on it, you are rewriting your automatic habits, attitudes, and other unwanted subconscious programs. Wow. Chapter 7, The Gap, explores how to break free from the emotions that you have memorized, which have become your personality, and how to close the gap between who you really are in your inner private world and how you appear in the outer world, social world. We all reach a certain point when we stop learning and realize that nothing external can take away those familiar feelings from our past. If you can predict the feelings of every experience in your life, there is no room for anything new to occur because you are viewing your life from the past instead of the future. This is the juncture point where the soul either breaks free or falls into oblivion. You will learn how to liberate your energy in the form of emotions and thus narrow the gap between how you appear and who you are. Ultimately, you will create transparency. When how you appear is who you are truly free. Part 2 concludes with Chapter 8, Meditation, Demystifying the Mystical and Waves of Your Future, in which my purpose is to demystify meditation so that you know what you are doing and why. Discussing brainwave technology made simple. I show you how your brain changes electromagnetically when you're focused versus when you're in the aroused state due to stressors in your life. You will learn that the true purpose of meditation is to get beyond the analytical mind and enter into the subconscious mind so that you can make real and permanent changes. If you get up from meditation as the same person who sat down, nothing has happened to you on any level. Wow, I've been meditating for quite some time, and I never thought about it in that way. When you meditate and connect to something greater, you can create and then memorize such coherence between your thoughts and feelings that nothing in your outer reality, no thing, no person, no condition at any place or time could move you from that level of energy. Now you are mastering your environment, your body, and time. Part 3, stepping towards your new destiny. All of the information in parts 1 and 2 is provided in order to equip you with the necessary knowledge so that when you demonstrate, apply this information in part 3, which supplies the how-to, you will have a direct experience of what you've been taught. Part 3 is all about applying yourself in an actual discipline, a mindful exercise to use in your daily life. It's a step-by-step meditation process created so that you actually do something with the theories given to you. Ooh, this sounds so exciting. Let me get another sip of water here. This is good stuff. By the way, Did your mind balk when I mentioned that multi-step process? If so, it's not what you think. Yes, you will learn a sequence of actions, but soon you will experience them as one or two simple steps. After all, you probably perform multiple actions every time you prepare to drive your car. Mhm. For example, you adjust the seat, put on your seatbelt, check the mirrors, start the car, turn on the headlights, look around, use a turn signal, apply the brake, put the car in drive or reverse, apply pressure to the gas pedal, and so on. Ever since you learned to drive, you have executed this procedure easily and automatically. I assure you, the same will be true once you learn each step in part 3. You may be asking yourself, why do I need to read parts 1 and 2? I'll just jump to part 3. I know, I'll probably be thinking the same. I really wasn't. I decided to offer the relevant knowledge in the first 2 parts of the text so that when you get to the third section, nothing will be left to conjecture, dogma, or speculation. When you begin the steps of the meditation, you'll know exactly what you're doing and why. When you comprehend the what and the why, the more you will know, and thus the more you will know how when the time comes. Therefore, you will have more power and intention behind the practical experience of truly changing your mind. By using the steps in part 3, you may be more prone to accept your innate ability to change so-called impossible situations in your life. You might even give yourself permission to entertain potential realities that you never considered prior to your exposure to these new concepts. You might just begin to do the uncommon. That is my aim for you by the time you finish this book. So if you can resist the temptation to jump ahead to part 3, and I assure you we will, I promise that when you get there, you'll be quite empowered by what you learn. I've seen this approach work throughout the world in the series of 3 workshops I led. When people gain the right knowledge in such a way that they understand it completely, and then have the opportunity for effective instruction to apply what they comprehend, then like magic, they can see the fruits of their efforts in the form of changes that serves as feedback in their lives. Part 3 will give you the meditative skills to change something within your mind and body and to produce an effect outside of you. Once you notice what you did inside of you that produces an outcome outside of you, you'll do it again. When a new experience manifests in your life, you'll embrace the energy you feel in the form of an elevated emotion such as empowerment, awe, or immense gratitude. And that energy will drive you to do it again and again. Now you are on the path to true evolution. Each meditation step delineated in part 3 is associated with a piece of meaningful information presented early in the book. Because you'll have cultivated the meaning behind exactly what you're doing, and there should be no ambiguity that might cause you to lose your vision. Like many skills you learn, in the beginning, it may take all of your conscious efforts to stay focused as you learn how to meditate to evolve your brain. In the process, you must restrain yourself from your typical behaviors and maintain your thoughts on what you are doing without wandering or extraneous stimuli, so your actions are aligned with your intention. Just as you might have experienced when you first learned to cook Thai food, play golf, dance the salsa, or drive a stick shift, the newness of the endeavor will require you to practice this ability continually, training both mind and body to memorize each step. Remember, most types of instructions are formatted in bite-sized chunks so that the mind and body can begin to work together. Once you get it, all the individual steps you kept reviewing merge into one smooth process. The methodical linear approach seamlessly flows into a holistic, effortless, unified demonstration. This is the point of personal ownership. At times, the effort this takes can be tedious, but if you persist with a certain amount of will and energy, in time, you'll enjoy the results. When you know how to do something, you're on your way to mastering it. I am overjoyed to say that many people around the world are already using the knowledge in this book to make demonstrable changes in their lives. It is my sincere passion that you too break the habit of being yourself and create the new life you desire. Let's get started. And with that, that's the end of the introduction. Again, we are reading together Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One by Dr. Joe Dispenza, the best-selling author of Evolve Your Brain. So I think this is going to be an awesome book with a lot of great tools we can implement in our lives. I feel like I will just learn a lot of the science behind how our brains function, even reading through this. So I'm really excited about the journey. I hope that you guys join me again on Thoughts Do Matter as I will continue to read this book. And as we continue on our journey, I do anticipate on having some roundtable type discussions or just some visitors that may come and visit with the channel just to discuss topics that we feel that may want to be discussed or that we want to share. I have many experiences, and I've been told by so many people that I should write a book. I should tell my story. This is me taking a teeny tiny step and putting myself out there and kind of seeing how I do in the online world and finding a forum to find my voice. So again, if you have enjoyed the content, I say like, subscribe, share. I look forward to seeing you guys again. Please come back and tune in soon. Until then, stay happy, be blessed, enjoy. Much love.